Here we go. Live stream number 2. Whoa! Here we are! God, live stream number 2. Couldn't believe I actually made it through last week. Wasn't without the help of all my friendly watchers and listeners all over the place. So thank you very, very much. So welcome back to Minis-N-Muscles. We are here. I managed to actually get back for a second session. So this is really, really cool. So to everyone, thank you for joining me. Mucho appreciated. Just sort of my camera out here, just so it looks like a bit slanted off. There we go. That looks better. Okay, so we're here. No one in the chat yet. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Oh, we've got Squarish. Howdy. How you doing? How you doing, buddy? Glad to have someone online. Welcome. So I'll just sort myself out whilst I'm waiting for a few others to join and set my bits and bobs up like my iPad. But how is everyone? It's Friday. We made it to the end of the week, everybody, so well done. Hopefully you've had a good week so far and things are going okay. I can't even find my notes. There we go. So what's happening? What's happening? Who we got in the chat? Who we got? I think it may just be you at the moment, James, but hopefully we'll get a few more people on. As you can tell, I'm absolutely amped up and psyched because I've literally just run from the gym. So, as we all know, because it's minis and muscles, I love to go to the gym. It was a long work day today, so I didn't manage to sneak away early. So it was like, oh, quick, mad rush, get myself off to the gym for a very, very short session. And my vest is all wonky, which is weird. Oh, it's in a mirror image, so there you go, that way around. So managed to get myself to the gym, do a nice session in the gym. And literally run back in thinking, oh my God, I'm going to miss the live stream, but we're here and we made it. So that's the main thing. So, any new people? Oh, that's a good point, actually, new people. Thank you so much for everybody who's either watched the lives, who has jumped on the shorts or liked a video or commented on a video or subscribed. Thank you all so much. To be fair, I was just doing this as a bit of a fun thing, just to have a bit of a laugh with, and just enjoy what I do. So enjoy my hobby of fitness and of miniatures, and just see where it really goes. But actually, the response so far has been really, really good. So YouTube gives you some sort of sneaky analytics into the background of where everyone is, and I saw that I had people in Germany, people in Canada. Where's the other one? Germany, Canada, obviously UK, and the US as well. Of course, my US brothers and sisters out there. So what's Squarish saying in the chat? Mikey at Tag has got me back into painting with his stuff. So dug out all of my old stuff this afternoon. Just putting the finishing touches on some Kroot. Oh, nice. I've never painted Kroot, actually, James. Never painted them. To be fair and brutally honest, the vast majority of my Warhammer, it's kind of standard because I've never played the game, consists of Space Marines, Orcs, Dwarves, that kind of stuff. When I was a lot young, oh no, I've got some Imperial Guard. I've got some Imperial Guard as well, because I do like how they look. They look pretty funky, actually. So I've not really dived into some of the sort of more what Warhammer World call Xenos type baddie should we say, type races. So Kroot do look cool. They've got some awesome stuff. Is it Kroot that have got, I'm trying to think now, oh no, it's not Kroot. There's a 40k race. Tau, that's the one. Sometimes I forget my words, so bear with me. But yeah, Tau have an awesome miniature. I've never collected Tau or got any of their figures, but they've got a really good one that it's like a commander with a sniper with a little drone. He looks awesome, so I might have to get him at some point. But it's always about getting through your pile of shame. But anyway, I digress from welcoming everyone onto the stream and thanking everyone for the likes, the love, the attention and all the rest of it. It's awesome. So if this is any good to you, and hopefully it is, even if it's just someone on a Friday evening to sit down with, to paint your models with, to have a bit of a back and forth chat, use me as your good Samaritan as such, and we can chat and we can talk all things geek, all fitness, absolutely fitness. So we'll do, as usual, a bit of fitness in here. So the live stream last week was more like a sort of intro, really. Intro to me, an intro to the channel. Oh, hi. We've got another one. Oh, got fireworks. How did we do that? I don't even know how I did it. But fireworks are happening. Another one in the chat, Aimzo. So hi, Aimzo. Yeah, last week was an introduction really to what I do here on this channel, what I intend to do actually, because it was only the first live stream. So what I intend to do, how we're going to do it, all the sort of stuff we're going to talk about. But this week, I kind of wanted to start forming a little bit more of a sort of agenda as such. At the end of last session, we had a little vote on a few models for me to paint, or to start painting from start to finish. And it come up with this little bad boy. So if we can bring him in close to the screen, there we go. So this is Grombrindle. And here's the box that he comes in. So this is a Games Workshop miniature. We're going to be going through Grombrindle. So I'll be starting to paint that today, or attempting to whilst I chat a load of nonsense. And then, yeah, I'll get through this model. We'll also look at just chatting a bit of D&D actually this week. I run some D&D stuff, some Dungeons and Dragons stuff for the Tactical Advanced Games, so that subsection of the military, subsection of the charity Game Therapy UK. So that's for military veterans and servicemen and women. And I run games for them, and I also run some home games here at my place, so in the man cave where I am sat right at this moment. So literally on the opposite side of my camera is the rest of my table, which my party of my lovely friends come and view and play a bit of a game with me. So just dropping that. So yes, we'll talk about a bit of Dungeons and Dragons today. We will talk about Grombrindle, and of course, we will talk our muscle moment as well. So we will include a little snippet and a section into our muscle moments. So I'm just going to jump back into chat and just see what's going on here. So yeah, so Kroot, a part of Tau. Oh right, okay, cool, makes sense. These have come from my brother's Tau army. Oh, sweet. Okay, so you're getting a bit of a loan of items. So that's pretty good. Oh, excuse me, by the way, if I'm drinking. I literally ran from the gym today to jump online. So I haven't even finished my protein shake. So I must finish my protein shake. So I have a swig now. So yeah, I didn't realise Kroot were part of Tau, actually, to be fair. I thought maybe Kroot were part of the Warhammer world. So Warhammer, for those that you don't know, or perhaps know even less than I do, and I don't know very much, you've got Warhammer and you've got Warhammer 40k. So 40k is like the, if you will, futuristic world with guns, lasers, all that sort of stuff. And that's where you find those traditional Space Marine looking fellas, which are sort of the poster boys of Warhammer 40k. And then you get the other side of Warhammer, which is actually currently Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar is more about magic, swords, axes, hand-to-hand combat, that kind of thing. So there are two differences. But yeah, I thought Kroot were part of that, but my knowledge is terrible, Squarish, so I 100% believe you. So yeah, so good. Anyway, right. So let's take a look into the first part that I wanted to talk about tonight. And this is Grombrindle. So Grombrindle, he is actually some of you may recognise him from those that read White Dwarf magazine. So this character is a dwarf. Dwarves are my favourite race in Dungeons and Dragons, and probably Warhammer as well, when they were more about in the original Warhammer. He's a cool little miniature, and he's got plenty on there. So Grombrindle, a couple of fun facts. So apparently he's a legendary hero from the Warhammer world and series. And as I said, he sort of came on the White Dwarf magazine as a different style miniature. So they've just re-released this one as like a commemorative, I think. Although it doesn't say that on the box, maybe they've just re-jazzed him. But yeah, they've re-released the model. He is all in plastic now, so he's not in lead, which is not so great. But that's okay, because some of these plastic miniatures are really, really good for definition. So when you're painting items, like I said in my last video, it's all about the print. So the print quality of the resin or the plastic or whatever it is done in, it must be really fine, because the finer that is, it actually brings out the standard in painting, so it makes you look better. So make sure you get a good print. And these Game Shop Workshop ones, although they're a bit pricey, they are really, really good. So a couple of other things that I found out about Grombrindle is that nobody knows exactly who he is, apparently. There's rumours that he is an old dwarven king. What's his name? Something like Snowbeard something, or in fact I've written it down, Snorin Whitebeard. So apparently he's a dwarven king, a legendary one called Snorin Whitebeard. So yeah, he was known for having a huge white beard and his sort of prowess on the battlefield. So that's pretty cool in itself. And the sort of legend behind this character is that he walks the mountains. Hi, Strawberry Lime. Got someone else on there. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Minis-N-Muscles and tuning in. Thank you very much. But yeah, Grombrindle, the sort of story behind him is that he is an elusive character, someone that disappeared into the mountains, and he travels the paths that only dwarves know. And apparently all dwarves know of, I think it's called the Saga of Grombrindle, which is almost like a poem or something like that. Hola, mi amigos. ¿Cómo estás? I can't see your name on there, but CR, welcome to the channel. So Grombrindle travels around mysteriously and hides away in the mountains, but he does come to the dwarven. He does come to the aid of fellow dwarves. Unsurprisingly, unannounced, comes in, kicks ass, and then disappears again. So he's sort of an elusive kind of character. So this is the guy that we're going to be painting tonight. So as I said, I was bringing him in a bit more for detail. So I made a bit of a boo-boo on this one, guys. Generally speaking, it's mirrored, so I always forget which way to turn. Generally speaking, I don't assemble minis all in one and glue it all together in place. The truth is, on this one, I really like the mini and I got all excited. So I was like, oh, quick, glue them all together and prime him up. But what I usually do, and this is a process that I would advise to you guys, is when you get the model, and we spoke about this last week, when it's on the sprue, get your black spray out, your black spray can. When it's on the sprue, trust me, okay, spray it all up, both sides. Get him sprayed, or her, or whatever the figure is, or it if it's a monster. Get the monster sprayed up, or the figurine. And then once you've done that, then you can go around and cut him out. You will have little areas that you will have to touch in by brush. But it just helps speed things up. I found it helps speed things up a little bit. And it also, with the primer being sprayed, it gives a finer coating. So sometimes if you don't quite get the black right when you're watering it down in your wet palette, what can happen is that you end up getting this sort of thicker layer. And when you paint over the top of those models with a thicker layer on an undercoat, it just turns out really, really poor. So actually spraying them as a base coat is epic. And like I say, the reason I choose black, that's another reason. But if we zoom in here and I bring him a bit closer, you see on there you've got a couple of sort of really small, minute details and things like that on the armour. Look at that armour, how the chainmail's overlaid on itself. Now, you always get, in real life, shadow around things, right? So my kind of theory on this is, if he's black and sprayed black already around some of these armours, when you go to paint the detail and you put, say, some colour into the chainmail itself, you can almost get away with a bit of a dry brush effect. So very little paint on your brush and just sparingly, slowly wipe across those scales on the mail. And rather than just slapping it all across, actually what happens is you get a nice effect where the black still remains on some of the edges, and it gives you like that shadow effect, and it pops out and gives you that sort of 3D effect. That is absolutely second to none. Like, there is the sort of case between people say, oh, go for white undercoat or like a beigey undercoat because that's better. But I just find that black tends to bring out the detail a little bit better. and a little bit more realistic. And the last point on the black is that it allows you, when you're painting over the top, to be able to give a thin coat and that black come through a little bit. And rather than having, you know, like I'm just trying to bring out one of my paints here, like a bright kind of red, it just comes through in a slightly more authentic, realistic colour rather than being like bang in your face. That's all well and good if you do want that bang in your face look. So you can just go over with a second coat, third coat, fourth coat, whatever. But if you want that kind of more realistic look, black seems for me to be able to bring that out. So there's your reason why for that. So yeah, so you've got lots of lovely detail on this Mini. There's plenty on him. What I'm not telling you is when I put him together, you might see around the base a little bit of odd looking bits, and that it kind of looks a little bit like rock. Now when I was putting him together, he didn't quite fit because he's one of these Warhammer click in place, easy put together models. And I was a bit, you know, rushing to get him done. So I put him all together and he didn't quite fit properly, probably because I put too much primer on, more than likely, because some of these models are very fine in the tolerances. So what I had to do is use a little bit of this stuff. So this stuff is from the Army Painter. It's called green stuff. It's like a sort of like a plasticine kind of thing. And it's green and blue, and you merge the two colours together and it then hardens over time. Anyone used green stuff before? But I found it's very good for filling in holes, so seam lines, things like that. So it's very, very cool for that kind of thing. But back to our model. There's some cool detail on him, and I'm not sure where to start. Anyone that's watching think of anywhere that we can start or should start? That's my biggest sort of downfall, I guess, to painting is I never know where to start. And I think that's probably true for most people because models are, you know, a million gajillion colours. But yeah, I'll think about that whilst you guys do as well. But has anyone got any suggestions on where to start off? Anyone coming through on the chat whilst I just prep things? Give my wet palette a little bit more water. Always nice to have a bit of water in your wet palette, just to make sure those colours don't dry up too quickly. And when you're applying them as well, not the wet of the palette, you don't want it too wet, but if it's got a good consistency to it in terms of the water to the foam, start on the axe. Start with the coat. Oh, awkward areas. Oh, okay, so a bit of divide here. So CR is saying to start on the axe, but Strawberry Lion wants me to start on the coat. Oh, okay, all right. Well, we can start. I do like axes. Sorry, Strawberry Line, but I do like axes. So I'm going to do the axe head first, and then we're going to transition over to the coat. But the question is, before we apply any paint, what colour scheme do we go with? So this is the colour scheme that came with the Mini. As you can see there, he's pretty cool. Let's turn him around there so you can see a little bit. Oh, there you go, 'cause it's mirrored. A little bit more detail there, and I'll poke my head around the side. So we've got plenty to choose from. So do we go with like this sort of blue-grey theme, and over the far side you've got like a red cape? That's quite cool. Or what's Squarish saying? On a pre-assembled, I tend to start on blocking out colour on hidden parts under the cloak behind the arms. Nothing worse than trying to get in there while avoiding all the detail work. Strawberry Line, the axe will be more fun. Yeah, true. On your point, Squarish, on avoiding areas, yeah. So what you'll find, and as we go through this journey with me, when I'm painting, I'll just go with what feels like a good flow. So if it feels like a good flow and I think, oh yeah, that's okay, I'll go this way, I'll just go that way. And I'm quite prepared to go over the same areas again, because if you're painting fine enough in terms of your colourings, it shouldn't be too much of a problem if you do make a mistake. And I always try with modelling, with painting, which can sometimes become tedious if you're winding yourself up about it. But actually, I always try to keep it as fun as possible, and I never want to lose my momentum, I guess. So, I did forget some tissue paper to wipe my brush off, so I'm going to have to grab that 2 seconds. Bear with me. I'm still here. I'm just sneaking behind the black and grabbing my tissue paper. So nothing special at all, just standard tissue paper just to wipe your brush off. And let's get going. Okay. So standard lick of the brushes just to get them to a fine point. We're starting on silvers. So we've got a base coat here for lead belcher. So you might be able to hear a weird vibrating noise. No, it's nothing odd. Please don't think it is. What I've got over here, and I should show you actually. I might not unplug. I'll unplug it here. So this little thing here, all right? I learnt this from, so first tip of the day. I learnt this from a buddy of mine, Pete, who's an avid painter. He's an awesome painter as well. He's very, very good. He does stuff on commission. But he showed me this. Well, not this exact one. He had like this pro version. This is a cheapy one from Amazon that costs about 18 quid. It's to mix your pots. So what you do is you place your pot on the top in this little gap here, and it vibrates and it shakes all the paints up. So these are really, really cool. So I will just quickly use that. Oh crikey, it's vibrating the whole table apart, so I'll put it down there whilst that's just mixing. So we're going to use lead belcher as the base on the axe here just before we, because it'll give us a nice sort of dark silver undertone before we, go for some, runefang steel or something like that, just to bring out some of the highlights. But what I will do is bring some more silvers over here just to bring them in. So my sort of second and third choices, I've got runefang steel and I've got what's this one, Ironbreaker as well. Both layers, so they're slightly thinner paints. The runefang steel's got like a kind of bluey tint to it by the feel of it, so that's quite nice sometimes to give it a magical kind of look on a shine. So some of the edges you might want to stick in that. Let's just mix those up. But how's everyone's week been? Come on, tell me how your week's been, guys. So those that are watching, what have you been doing? What's been the highlight of your week? How are you keeping? Are you managing to stay geeky? Hopefully you are. Has anyone managed to get to the gym this week? Or is it just me? Hopefully I can install some confidence in you to not just hit the gym, but to be a geek as well. Right, there you go. They're mixed. Or mixed enough for now anyway. I might have to give them a bit more of a shake in a bit, because some of them really do get thick and sticky. I don't know about you guys, but like my man cave, unless I've got the windows open and all the rest of it, it does get a little bit hot sometimes. Or Strawberry Lime saying, I went on an 8-mile walk today. Oh, fantastic. Nice work. Yeah, so, here's an interesting fact. When I was in the army, so an 8-mile walk, but you have to carry some weight, is called a combat fitness test, or it was. And a combat fitness test you had to do every year, and you had to pass that, and you had to do it in a certain time. So it's 2 hours. So 2 hours to do your 8-mile march with a loaded bag on your back as well. So that's very good. So 8 miles, that's impressive. You currently play some Persona. My gym is running after people. Oh God. So I have no clue what Persona is. Currently play some Persona. I have no clue what that is, Strawberry Lime. You're going to have to educate me here. I'm, a foolish old man who knows nothing. So you'll have to educate me on that is, or what that is. So, in fact, I should actually turn this on because I got a new camera. Oh, not that one, but that one. There we go. Ha-ha! Here we go. So it's on a little tilt there, but you should be able to see it. So there we go. So if I bring this little guy into view, bring some light down, hopefully you guys might be able to see it a bit better. So what I'm doing now is just going around the edge of the blade. I'm not too fussed at the moment. There's no need to, worry about, being really careful right now, because this whole thing is going to be silver. So it's quite nice just to go just lightly on the paint. Remember, less is more. What we don't want to do is slap on so much paint that, you end up covering all of the details, because the details are the key. So like on this little bit here, and I don't know whether the camera will pick it up, this camera anyway, but where I'm pointing my paintbrush now, there's some tiny little sort of recesses and details that make it sort of look like it's been carved or forged in a dwarven stronghold and an anvil of power. So yeah, you don't want to go too heavy, and that's why the wet palette is so important. It's just out of shot on my camera, on my side camera that is, but the wet palette is really important. You want your paint, and again, I need a better setup here, maybe another light from the other side, but let's see if I can change this. Let's see if I can pull this around here, and it might give us some extra light on the situation. Oh, there you go, that's a bit better, isn't it? But anyway, round here, what you want when you're putting on this paint, and how you know that it's just at the right consistency in terms of your wet palette being wet enough and not putting on enough paint, when you're spreading it across a fine surface like the tip of this blade here, if you rub just too hard, you'll see that the black from the undercoat comes through. That's just about perfect because it means it's real thin, and that's what you want. You don't want to go heavy at all. Go really, really gently. So what's chat saying? Oh, Persona is a video game from Japan. You play as a student and go into a weird world to wreck some stuff. Oh, cool. That sounds pretty sweet. To be fair, I've not played any video games in ages. I took a bit of a break from video games. Last one I played was, well, it's 2 actually. So Baldur's Gate 3, obviously, because it's D&D. That was pretty epic. Helldivers, I played a bit of Helldivers. That's pretty sweet. And then I jumped off the PlayStation 5 for a while, and I was like, oh, I just can't be arsed. Things are a bit busy at the moment. And I, just on some of my work travels, and sitting on the plane for hours on end, I was actually playing, oh God, what's it called? Cat Quest. Has anyone played Cat Quest? I would love to know if you have. I hear you scream to me, Steve, what is Cat Quest? Tell me more. Well, Cat Quest is, it's RPG sort of based, a bit like Zelda actually, I guess. They call that a rogue type RPG. They have all these fancy words for it. I don't really know what it means, but yeah, it's like Zelda, but you're a cat. So it's pretty cool. It's cheap as well. So my law when I'm playing computer games is never spend more than £7. Never. That's the law. There are some quality games you can find for that kind of price range. So £7 is your limit on spend. Oh, Peter von Amret, Reg. Oh, mate, yeah. For those of you that don't understand what Reg is, no, my name is not Reginald. Pete is referring to the Parachute Regiment, which was my last cat badge in the army, and Reg is the chant that he's referring to. So welcome, Pete. Good to have you online. You missed it a minute ago. I actually mentioned you. I mentioned you about these little buggers. So I'll bring it in both cameras. I can't bring it in both, but these, you know, the old vibratey things. Yeah. So I said about you recommending them to me when we did a sort of RPG type getaway. When me and Pete took some downtime from the RPGs and we were just painting models, sat in a caravan, which was quite good fun actually. We'll have to do that again, Pete. That was really good. I'll remember that one. Oh, Reg. Yeah. Well, if you're into the military type world, then yeah, Reg. Yeah, it's what. Well, it's stereotypical. Well, it's used in a lot of ways actually, but I think in this arena, what Pete is referring to is like your stereotypical parachute regiment individual. You know, amongst other cat badges, this is seen as, because they're infantry, as not particularly intelligent, and all they do is shout Reg because they're very proud of the parachute regiment. And that is true. They are super proud of the parachute regiment, 110%. But actually, what I found, because I degraded myself through my military career, I started off in the Royal Signals for my sins, which is meant to be an intelligent corps. So not intelligent as in intelligence, but you're meant to be fairly intelligent to be in the Royal Signals. Years ago, when you had to do a barb test, which assesses your intelligence and suitability for the army, it tells you what you can be eligible for. And Royal Signals was one of the higher scoring tests. You had to score higher to be able to qualify to be in there. So I started off my life in the Royal Signals, and then I got a bit bored and frustrated of that because I got kind of mugged off when I was in the recruitment place. The people were saying to me, "Oh yeah, you can join the Signals," because I wanted to be parachute regiment at the start, and people were like, "Oh yeah, you can join the Signals. They have their own parachute squadron. It's just the same." Blah blah blah. You don't know nothing when you're a 15-year-old kid signing up. And then my parents were like, "Oh no, you have to get a trade because that's really important. And we won't sign you into the army." And I had to have them sign me in. So that was, I had to go and I was like, "Oh, what do I do? I have to get a trade." Oh, okay. And I reluctantly went into the Signals. So I spent a few years there, met some wonderful people. And then I went across to the artillery. And then I finished up at the parachute regiment. But yeah, I had a very good time. So what's going on in chat? Banging weekend, just doing the leather on my Vindicator. Oh yeah. So Pete is talking about banging weekend. We spent together painting models. That was very cool. And he's painting a Vindicator Assassin. Yes, that's very cool. We got Bearded Veteran. Evening. How are you doing? Cool. Who we got here? Oh, Gubs. Gubs is a very cool game. Yes, indeed. I absolutely love Gubs. If you haven't played it, Gubs is a banging little card game. It doesn't cost a lot, and I play it with my friends here at home. It's an absolutely awesome game. So yeah, good shout out, CR. Pete saying, "Yeah, your trade got worse, but you got more alley." Well, that's true. See, I made a trade up, so I left the more intelligent side of the world and moved down to the apparently more stupid side, but it's far from that, and upgraded my alleyness, that's for sure. I always wanted that maroon beret. I managed to get it, so I was very proud. So what I'm doing here, I know the sort of speak was around just the axe, so we started on the axe head. I'm just transitioning across to some other silver areas. I'm doing that purely because, well, I suppose it's a bit laziness, I guess. But my theory here is if you've got a lot of a colour that you know you're going to have to do, well, why not do that when you have the paint out and ready? Don't come back to it 10 years later. Get it done now whilst it's fresh. So I'm just transitioning now to a little... I guess maybe it might be a goblin or an orc weapon here that they've got that's attached to the side. Oh, another fun fact about Grombrindle. So he's apparently he is the saviour of the dwarves when there was a huge goblin and skaven battle. So for those who don't know, goblins are evil little green things, you see in the movies, like majority of people have seen Lord of the Rings, so the little small ones, and Skaven are human-sized rat people, well, not just under human-sized actually, but they're quite cool as well. And apparently Grombrindle was the saviour of that battle, and he did very well. So there's another Grombrindle fact for you. So what's here? Unaliving people is a trade. Unaliving people is a trade, isn't it? Yeah. It is, sir. It is. It is indeed. What we got here? Another good Grombrindle fact. Oh, I've got something to show on the next stream. Hopefully, it will be here in time for next week. Because I'll do some bit more to the model as well. But there'll be something very cool to show you guys next week for this Grombrindle character, which is pretty damn sweet. So I was very happy with the little purchase I made in the week. What else has people been purchasing? Who's been purchasing models recently? What have you been buying? Or if it's not a model, what have you been doing on the Geek World? Maybe it's Gubs. Maybe you've been playing Gubs. Or maybe you've bought a computer game or something. Come on, tell me what you've been doing. Dave Evans. Oh, hey, how you doing? Yes, look forward to the next one shot on Monday. Yes, and so I was telling people earlier about the games that I run for Tactical Advanced to Game. So it's sort of I run a campaign on one Monday, and then the following Monday I run one shots, and then back to the campaign. So yeah, it'll be another random one shot next week, Davey. I look forward to seeing you on it. Uno. Oh, come on. No, actually, Uno's a good game, to be fair. It's all right, isn't it? It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy. But it's just that's your standard. That's your bread and butter, isn't it? Of board games, I guess. I get really excited with board games. Ever since I was a kid, I'm a massive geek at heart, but I'd like always badger the crap out of my parents to play board games. They hated them, so they would never want to play them. So, and it probably didn't help that I cheated as well majority of the time. But only because I wanted to win, I was competitive. Okay, all right, don't judge. You're all the same as me. I bet you would have cheated in your life. But yeah, board games, I get excited with them. I end up buying games expecting to play all these wonderful games with my friends, and then never get a chance to play them. But c'est la vie, they sort of sit. I've got a pile there across from me actually that I haven't played a couple yet, and I really want to get into them. So what else? Just started book 54 in the Horus Heresy series. Von, that's amazing. Mate, don't put any spoilers in the chat. I'm actually still on book 1. I have started, but if you're super interested in that, a friend of mine that does YouTubing, Mira Manga. So she does lots of stuff about Warhammer, and she interviews like people like Dan Abnett, the guy that wrote some of the Horus Heresy books. So she does live streams like that. Really, really cool. So worth tuning in to Mira Manga. She does some cool stuff on the Warhammer Horus Heresy. And she actually kind of like inspired me to do this actually. So, because I know her through Game Therapy UK. Yeah, she kind of inspired me to do this. I thought, I'll just go and do this. Why not give it a chat? Give it a chance. So we've been working on the Universal Carrier diorama I'm doing for a friend. Oh man, that would be epic. That would be really epic. I have to tune in Bearded Veteran and see what that's looking like as it's progressing, because that'd be really cool. That'd be really good. Be nice to see. I love seeing stuff like that. Like you see quite often in the geek world, these huge dioramas of what people are painting, and they'll take like a model like this. For those of you who haven't seen that sort of thing, they'll take like a model like this little guy. They'll take him and they'll cut off the base, and they will sculpt something else, and they will put it amongst here and some trees and this and that, and they'll build out this absolutely beautiful picturesque scene. That's so cool. Honestly, the amount of man hours that go into these is super impressive. It really is mind-blowing when you see the outcome of it. It looks so good. Yeah, so I shall have to see that at some point. What else we got in here? Not done much board games, but did do a night of the Monster Hunter game with a friend when he was back in the country. It was good fun once we figured out the mechanics. Monster Hunter. Is that Monster Hunter? Is that? I take it that's not the board game, and that is the online game on the PS5. I think it originated on Nintendo, because I had that. Did I have it on a DS or something like that, maybe? Oh, Davey, no spoilers for Horus Heresy. We don't get too fond of Horus. Well, I do know some of the. I do know the outcome, actually. To be fair, that I am aware of that just through knowing Warhammer lore in a little bit. But it's the finer details that you don't know. You know, it's like meeting new characters or finding new people on those. It's pretty sweet. So when you're painting these as well, again, when you assemble the whole miniature, as you can see now, I'm just going around and painting the silver items, what will be silver. The issue when you assemble it like this in full mode, you can't then get to the little areas, and it makes it very, very tricky. So if you don't have the patience, I mentioned one tip last week actually, you can paint part on sprue. So when it's on a sprue, you can actually paint some of the elements. So you could paint this axe, for example, whilst he's on the sprue. You know, you could paint lots of bits and bobs whilst it's there, cut it out, and then build it once it's part painted. Again, you will have areas that you'll have to recover, but it does allow you to get into all the nooks and crannies without a worry. Now, you see here, let's see if I can get him. See right down these little gaps down here. I've got to get my brush down there to fill in the detail. That is really tricky. There are some things like you can get like angled brushes, which are okay, but they're not that great. I don't think. I mean, Pete, you might want to make a comment on angled brushes if you're still online. How do you find those angled brushes, or how does anyone find those angled brushes actually, if anyone's painting? But I know Pete is an avid painter. Yeah, so the photos are on my Facebook page. Oh, cool. Oh, nice one. Thank you very much for giving us a shout out. Much appreciate that. Much appreciate that. Yeah, I really do appreciate that, guys. Like, so far the love has been awesome. So I'm really grateful. Like, really grateful. Right, so I'm going to try and show you this bit here. This is what I was talking about when you're doing black for base coating. Let's see if I can find it on here. I don't think it's going to zoom in. Let's see if I can use my phone camera. So if I place him down here, and let's see if we can transition across. So I've tried to do this in some way. Let's see if I can get this working. Aha! There we go. Look at this. So this is what I was talking about when you're doing details. So do you see just in here this little like black shape? It doesn't come out that great, and apologies for the quality, but that's a little recess, and it's a nice little shape. It's not like an artistic type shape in the sword. You can leave those shapes black, and it just stands out and makes it pop. That's what's so cool. So you don't have to fill everything. You know, obviously over here, you know, we filled it, and we'll do some shadowing on this in a bit later, but these little tiny holes like that, I love leaving those bits like that because it just makes it look different. Like that, if I zoom out, it actually focuses a bit better. But yeah, it makes it look so much cooler, that little bit there, right? Just from leaving it black. But you could fill it with another colour if you wanted. You could do whatever you really feel. But let's just go back to this view. Let's place that phone down. That worked quite well, actually, didn't it? That's extra camera. What's he saying? Never use them, but look like turd. Just use regular brushes all the way. Yeah, I tried. It came in this set, so I was talking. You know, I do talk candidly about being a cheap git when it comes to buying stuff. I don't like spending a load of money on things if I don't have to. I will if it's a necessity, but if I don't have to, I don't really want to. So, you know, like this brush I'm using right now, it's not a detail brush, by the way. It's a fairly thick tip. And it's made by, can you work that out on there? There you go, Nick Pro. If you search Nick Pro brushes on Amazon, you'll find them. And they come up, they're super cheap. They're about, I don't know, 18 quid or something for a pack of 20. And they come in this pot. And there's a variety of different things in there. So just be careful what sets you buy, because some will be unsuitable for painting little detailed miniatures like this, but they'll be suitable for something that Bearded Veteran's talking about in his big sort of dioramas. But nonetheless, these Nick Pro brushes are really cheap. There must have been about 15 or 20 brushes on there. They're not super expensive at all, and they're really good. You know, they're really good brushes. You don't need to have these super duper, you know, Opus Art is one. They do some beautiful stuff, man. I'm not going to deny it, and I'm not saying they're crap, because they're not. But they are super expensive, unless you've got money to sort of throw away, or you're willing to pay for it. Sometimes I feel generous and I'm willing to give companies my money. Sometimes not. I had to pay a big bill today for a car, so that wasn't good. But, you know, I had no choice. But yeah. So what else is people doing this weekend? What's going on, peeps? What are you all up to? Anyone doing anything fun or interesting? Anyone got a D&D game going? What do you reckon? So talking of D&D, I said that I would speak about D&D today as part of my kind of agenda of what I wanted to cover. Don't worry, this is not a corporate presentation, or I hope not. If it is, tell me I'm boring the tits off you and tell me off. But yeah, what I wanted to talk about is D&D because it's a passion of mine. So I only found D&D again just after lockdown. So funny, it sort of coincided with this miniature painting, really. And Dungeons and Dragons, for those that have never played it, it's a tabletop role-playing game. So by that, it's you play it with a bunch of mates, sat around a table. You can do it online as well. You can do it virtually. It's not a problem. You sit around with your buddies and you play a little bit of this role-playing game. So there's some rules to it and how it works out and plays, and you just make your character up and you give him a name and you choose his race and you choose abilities and all the rest of it, and you play as that character. It's a little bit like, I don't know, amateur acting, I guess, which is quite nice. But the reason I absolutely love Dungeons and Dragons, much like painting, it's escapism. So, we were talking the other week about life being very busy and very stressful, and that's not going to change, peeps. Unless you are a fortunate person to either land a crap ton of money or win the lottery of some sort or something crazy like that, you'll be like me, working and doing all that, which is massively stressful. And although I'm not super old, one thing I have learned is to try and remove as many stresses from your life as possible, within reason, of course. And part of doing that is, escapism. I found is very, very good. So it helps you clear the mind. It helps you reset. So if you had a massively stressful week and you have that form of escapism where you can just disappear into a different world, so to speak, and you can, act like a fool or act like a crazed muscle man or whatever, you can go and do that to your heart's content. And you can play this character, this wacky character or whatnot, in a world where, there are effects because you could kill your character off, and he becomes kind of attached to these characters, I think, over time. But, it's in this sort of safe and closed environment with a load of buddies that you play with, and it's just fun as hell. Being able to take your, perhaps some of you have got stressful corporate jobs, I do, and, for me, having the ability to switch off from that is massively important, and it helps me reset for the week ahead. So even, having this chat with you guys now, massively therapeutic, I find it. It's absolutely wicked just to sit here and chat to you guys and talk to people of, similar interests. So what's this? I'll be doing some more prep for one of my Candela groups. So Squarish runs some Candela Obscura groups. So that's one of the latest Critical Role tabletop role-playing games. He does that through the Tactical Advanced game. So any military veterans that or serving service personnel that are online now watching or watching afterwards, it's live. Find us on the Facebook and join our group. That would be very cool to see you there. But yeah, if they choose to follow the beast, they'll be chasing the creature through the eerie Victorian horror-esque taxidermist shop. Oh my lord, that sounds pretty cool. I really want to join that game actually. Oh, Strawberry Lion, what has been your favourite character? My favourite character, it's going to be a dwarf. Because I do love dwarves. I think my favourite character, I played him when Tag was first created. I actually played him in the pilot phase of it. And his name was Dwim Ironhammer. So I played on him being stupid. That's why I called him Dwim, because his intelligence, I think I rolled like a 5 or something like that for his intelligence, and he didn't need his intelligence. He was a fighter, so it was really simple. But it was absolutely hilarious playing him. I loved playing that character. I'll probably have to resurrect him at some point. But a lovable, stupid dwarf, that makes a lot of mistakes or cocks up or makes stupid suggestions because he's so inherently thick, bless him. But it was really fun. It was quite nice to be able to play that kind of character and not have to think too hard on things. As I said, corporate life is very stressful, so not having to think about that kind of thing is really nice. Just being comical and being silly, it's just quite good. The biggest breakthrough I had with my mental health was realising that the only thing you can control in life is how you react to it, says the bearded veteran. Everything else will happen regardless, so why worry? Yeah, very true. So I think it's always the perception you have on things. So, and excuse the weird noise, that's the vibrate-y thing going. Pete, you'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, in regards to what you're saying, bearded veteran, 100%. Yeah, you can't stress on things too much. Like as I said, life is super stressful, and it will throw some horrible things at you throughout your years. And although I'm not ancient, at 40, I feel like I've gone through quite a bit of stuff so far in my life, and it will throw some crazy things at you. So be prepared for that. Oh God, this is gold. I don't want gold. Why do I want? Oh my lord! Now look at this. I've just spilt a load of paint on me. Yeah, I've just picked up the wrong colour, shaken it up, and I just realised I don't want that colour at all. I was looking for more of a sort of bronzy, light colour. I do this often. I spill my paints. It's foolish because they're not the cheapest of. Oh, they are cheap. They're £3 or whatever. But you don't want to keep on having to pay £3 out all the time for pots of paint. But yeah, mental health is really important. So you should always try to look after yourself. I made a short the other day actually, and it was really about two things: mental health and physical health. And on it, I said, there's 4 key steps to this that I would implore anybody to try. And that is, so find a hobby that you love is step 1. And my pictures in that was miniatures, right? I love painting miniatures. So find a hobby you love. And then the second to that was... that's the colour I want. The second one to that was more around fitness. So it's like get 10,000 steps in a day. And then it was, just monitor your calories, how much you eat. And then train 4 times hard per week. That's it. 4 key steps. That massively helps with things like mental health as well. Because you're in control of all of that. All of those things right there, you're in control of. And you can do something about them. So... find yourself that freaking hobby. I say to all my friends or, the people I care about, I say, look, get yourself a hobby. It's really important. Find a hobby that you love that you can sit there and do all day long and you can, lose yourself. Hugely important. And then obviously keeping yourself healthy. So Strawberry Lime there was talking about doing an 8-mile walk today. Absolutely epic. Well done, Strawberry Lime. That's super cool. I don't mean that when I say well done. I don't mean that in any condescending way at all. Genuinely, getting yourself out and doing 8 miles is awesome. So I don't live too far from the South Downs. So I love to go up on the South Downs and run about there. That's pretty cool. So here we go. This is a colour I was after. So I was after this kind of colour. So we've done a fair amount on our model in terms of the silver areas. But there's a couple of shields here. And there's this one here, for example, that's quite nice. That I want to just paint in this sort of light, sort of bronzy kind of colour. So we're just going to get that on the wet palette. Don't need too much this time, but we'll spread that out a bit and we'll start applying the paint. Yeah, so what's Pete saying there? So yeah, concentrate on your own bubble of influence and the rest just ride the lightning. Yeah, it's a bit like that though, Pete. Lightning is a good way to describe that because things come when you least expect it and it's not always destined and it's not always sure. and it's fucking hard. When it hits you, it will hit you like a ton of trucks, like a lightning bolt, right? So yeah, so it is a crazy old world out there. So you must look after yourself. And for me, miniatures, Dungeons and Dragons, absolutely epic. So talking of D&D, because that was my kind of main focus of talk today. So what does everyone play? I want you guys now to get into chat and put into chat what you play. So your current game, be it D&D or Candela Obscura, whatever tabletop role-playing game, what is your character? What's the name and what's the class? So it could be Bob and he's a barbarian, for example. So what is your character you're currently playing and what is your class? If you're not playing a tabletop role-playing game at the moment, okay, you could just give me a character name and tell me what's the sort of persona of the character. How would you like to play? Would they be confident? Would they be the Joker? Would they be the serious one? Would they be someone that sort of is a sneaky person? Would they be an sort of outlandish kind of individual? What would they be? So that's for those that don't play. For those that do play, what is your current character? I want to know what everybody is playing right now. It's just interesting, right? Knowing what everyone else is doing. It's pretty cool. So what we've got here. Strawberry Lime Sound. I mean, I had to walk the 8 miles to work, but it was really nice and calming. Yeah, well, if work pays you to do that kind of stuff, that was one of the best things about the military. It paid you to do physical training all the time. And if you said you were doing it, 9 times out of 10, your bosses would let you go and do it regardless. So that was super cool. So if your work allows you to do that, Strawberry Lime, you crack on. You crack on and do that. So Strawberry Lime says, Eve, and she's a sorcerer. So, yes, I know Eve the sorcerer. She's a very cool character. She's very funny. So Eve plays in one of my home games. And Eve the sorcerer is very funny indeed. She's a little bit naive, let's say. She's a young elf, and she's a little bit naive, but she's absolute sweetheart of a character. And she's sort of learning her way with adult interactions and being around more people, all the way through to, actually becoming a bit of an adventurer herself. So it's actually quite nice to see her grow as she goes. So she's a very cool character. And she's actually pretty powerful too. So, bearded veteran, half-orc paladin named Gorodon Bennett. I love the pun. Love the pun. Talking of puns, in Eve's, in Strawberry Lime's campaign, that the party met a punned name. I love putting a pun name in my NPCs. And they met one the other day called Seymour Butane, as in Seymour Butts, from The Simpsons. So if any of you know that. But yeah, Gorodon Bennett sounds awesome. Orc Paladin, or half-orc Paladin. So yeah, so he has some really powerful abilities in the sense of his half-orc race, plus Paladin as well, beefy as hell. So that's a really cool mesh. I like that. And you're also half-orc ranger. I'm feeling a vibe for half-orcs here, called Grimmock. Grimmock the half-orc ranger. I did have a ranger at one point, the gnome ranger, and his name, oh crikey, I can't even remember what his name was. Albus Gimbal, the gnome ranger. Yeah, I enjoyed playing him. He was quite fun actually. I like playing him. So Squarish is GM in Candela for a group of friends through work and about to start GM for Tag, playing size choosy Tag as a halfling druid. Ooh, halfling druid. Do you know what? I've never seen anyone play a halfling druid. That's quite cool. Called Lunda, alongside bearded veteran and Grimmock. Oh yeah, cool. Nice. So that's in a Tag game. Awesome. And also many poor dead goblins in Goblin Quest. Yeah, so those that haven't played Goblin Quest, that's super cool. Goblin Quest is a tabletop role-playing game. It's a manic game, so you take a group of your finest goblins and you try to do various... I'm not going to reveal too much because it spoiled the first game you play. But you try to do various things and they're very difficult, but bear in mind you won't last very long. They often fall foul to... I don't want to say too much, guys, because those that haven't played it, they die, basically. They don't last very long, so don't become attached to them, is what I'm saying. But it's a very cool game, Goblin Quest. Yeah, Beady Vetch saying, yeah, poor goblins. So just back to mini update. In fact, let's use the extra camera. Let's use it. I set it up, so let's blooming use it. Here we go. Righty. So far, let's just zoom out just a little bit. There you go. So we've got some silver items in so far, or metal items, and I've used lead belcher for all of those. So sort of auto zooming in there. It's quite cool. You can see all the details that are left. I've just done that shield, and again, I can't really get close enough to get. There you go. That's not bad. So what I tried to do here is not go too heavy or too thick on the coat. The reason being is it brings out the black underneath. When you bring out the black underneath, it makes the metal look more realistic because it's got little parts. Oh God, why is it auto zooming over there? You've got little parts that sort of ding out to you, and it just makes it look a bit more real, I find anyway. I really don't like this autofocus, so I'm just going to put him down. Yeah, so I quite like that. Let's switch back to our main view. Might have to stick my phone on charge actually. But anyway, yeah, loving that bronze colour. Yeah, it's super cool. So the bronze colour, if you do want to use it, Citadel. Most of my paints are all Citadel, and it's Runelord Brass. And again, just go fine, go really fine on the colour. Don't go too heavy. Little is best, and allow that black to come through because it gives it like that 3D perception when you look at it. I think that's a really cool, easy technique. It's not difficult to do. Like, none of this that I'm doing is difficult. Trust me, I am no pro painter in any way, shape or form. I just enjoy it. But yeah, so that's the bronze. So we've got some more shields around the side. These look like a goblin type shield on this side. See if I can bring it into this camera. There we go. So there's like a goblin type shield. What should we do that colour in? I mean, the kind of standard for goblin type shields is that sort of, I don't know if it's like an orcish sort of, no, squig. Are they called squigs? I think so. The little round things that hop up and down on two legs, like two little beastie with a big mouth and 2 feet. But yeah, so we'll try and do him. So let's have a look here, see what we've got. Okay, let's try this one. I need a base though, so a bit thin on that. Right, we might have to mix a bit of a colour. Oh no, we've lost. Oh no, we're back. Okay, cool. So what I've got here is I've got 2 more colours. So we've got the Wild Rider Red, and we've got Mephiston Red as well. So it's like an orange and a red. It's called, I don't know why it's called Wild Rider Red, because it's not red at all. It's orange, unless I'm completely colourblind. But I want to make like a sort of orangey, darker orange colour in my wet palette. So I'm going to take a little bit of both, mix it in, and see if that works for me. Hopefully it will. But yeah, so yeah, we talked about D&D characters and things like that. I love the character creation phase because it's just super exciting to make a character, write the background, invest in them, and it just makes it feel a little bit more real, right? Although it's never real, it's just a game, boo hiss. But it just makes it feel a little bit more real. And I think, you know, if you spend the time investing in the characters, you know, you always try your best to portray them in the best light, or keep them alive, or, you know, do what you got to do, whatnot. So yeah, I love that part of character creation. Yeah, poor old Dwim Ironhammer, bless him. So what was his best moment? His best moment actually was that was my favourite character, by the way, just as a recap, Dwim Ironhammer. dwarven fighter. And I think the best moment I had with him, and if Gary joins tonight, he'll attest to this, that I think it was like the third session or something like that, where Dwim got into a fight because they met the big bad early on. So the group met the big bad very early on, which is all intentional by the GM. And it was sort of meant as the warning, like the throwing the dog a bone and planting the seed. So they met the big bad early on, but Dwim almost wiped out, I don't know how, the big bad about level 3, I think they were. It wasn't very high, and it was crazy. Obviously, it wasn't just Dwim, but he took him down, and it was only because of a very fortunate spell that the big bad managed to get away. But that was super cool. And from then, it was just silly things as well that I loved. So that was like a combat best memory. In terms of other good memories of Dwim, I think there was one where, and again, because I played him as this sort of stupid, you know, gruff, grumpy, but, comes across quite lovable in the end, dwarf fighter. And a new guy got introduced to the party, and Dwim was terrible at like conversation, but in a quite a comical way. And he sat on the back when the party were travelling from one place to the next. He sat on the wagon travelling, and he was like trying to make conversation with this new party member, doing absolute terrible job. But he blatantly thought he was doing amazingly because he didn't really pick up on the signs and the signals, etc. And it was just this really awkward conversation that this new character was having, sort of being probed by this dwarf who thought he was being really nice and kind. It was quite funny. Yeah, and I remember he walked away from the conversation, and he turned to another character in the party and just saying out loud, as if the new guy couldn't hear. He was like, "Oh, I really like that guy," and he's sort of really happy to meet him. It was quite funny. That was probably my most memorable part. Anyone else got some memorable moments for their characters that they've played? Anything that sort of stands out to you as like that, either defining moment that made your character as good as they are, or was it a enthralling battle that you went through that just saw your character come to light, or saw your character's skill set come out for the first time? You've been playing this character and grinding away at the levels and the quests. And so just to give you an idea, this was the kind of, it looks a bit different in that actually, but it's a sort of dullish kind of orangey red that's coming out on this shield, which looks quite nice. And it was bang on the colour that I was looking for. So basically I took the colour of Mephiston red and added some Wild Rider red to it, I took Wild Rider red and added some Mephiston red, so the other way round, just to darken it off and take some of that sort of bright orange away. And it's worked really well. So I quite like that effect. That's quite cool. Yeah. So any best moments from you guys? Remembering your characters. Oh, there must be someone out there that's had a moment you thought, oh yeah, that was bloody brilliant moment where my character Bobby Joe beat the big bad down, or whatever it was. Bobby Joe's a terrible character. Well, it's not a terrible character name, but it's probably not my favourite. But yeah, tell me about your best character moment. I'm just finishing off a little bit here. So there's a couple of details on this model that are really nice. Remember, when you're painting your own models, don't panic about, getting things right or going over the line or missing this or missing that. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And you can always go back. Like, I've just painted some of this orange on a bit of silver. C'est la vie. We can go back, because even when you finish a model, there's always points where you sit there and go, crap, I need to go back because I need to do X, Y, Z. There is always that moment. Even pros will have that moment where they think that, and they have to go back. There's no, it's never quite 100% finished when you think it should be. It'll always take that next step. So what we've got here, in one of the Candela groups, I had a similar thing where the group nearly took out the big bad in the early phases. Luckily, a really bad couple of rolls turned the tides. Also led to really interesting interaction between two of the characters, which should lead to some interesting character and story development. Oh, nice. So that's really cool, right? So you've got a massive buy-in from your characters, because they thought, oh yeah, I've almost done the big bad, and then the big bad escapes, which kind of inevitable, but it builds up that tension that they well, gives them the feeling that they can actually achieve something at being a low level, but also brings in the reality that the big bad got away, and gives them something to fight for. Then you've got that personal aspect too, where between two characters as they start to develop. That's really nice. I like that. I love in my games, I always try to incorporate some kind of backstory elements. So I always try to add in some backstory for people. So I get my characters, or my players, sorry, to write a little bit about the characters and backstory. I get it to fill it out, and it doesn't have to be massive, but just put a little bit of detail in there, because when you're playing a game and you're going through playing this sort of role-playing type game, and people are talking in the voices of their characters and becoming more invested in them day by day, why would you not want them to buy into it? How do you get them to buy into it? Well, actually, one easy way to get them to buy into it is by adding in the personal touch. The personal touch. Get your players to write you, a paragraph on a backstory, and start to add that in at some point. It could be anything or anything. It could be something really little and they achieve it in 2 seconds, or it could be something really big that leads the storyline as a whole. Really great hooks. So I love doing stuff like that. What we got? Gordon Bennett, models for Heroes D&D, was a battle master before he died, but he wasn't used to civilized society. On one of the missions, he got fed up with waiting for the team to decide how to check for traps in a cave, so he picked up the dwarf cleric member and threw him the entrance of the cave. Quality. Love it. That's really cool. Yeah, so as long as they didn't upset the dynamics, because sometimes you have to be very careful with upsetting player to player type thing, but that is very funny. I think knowing the group, I probably would have allowed that and let that play out, because that kind of stuff just gives it a bit of fun, and characters, sometimes would be like, oh, what the hell's going on? Come on, let's go for it. So they would get frustrated, right? So absolutely, that's very cool. They don't quite know that it's the big bad yet. It's the aftermath of one of the earlier investigations, and it's growing in strength along with them, trying to keep as a matched adversary. Oh, cool. And a focus of some of the tensions between the characters is going to be an anchor or so. Oh, lovely. That's awesome. Nice one, Scratch. I like that. That sounds really cool. Yeah, so giving them that sort of thread, that needle and thread to, start carving their sort of future and bringing stuff to light for them, getting them involved and getting them embedded in a story, massively important. So that's really cool. I love that. So what I'm doing now is just going back on this model where I carelessly painted over elements. I'm just going back and just applying a tiny little bit of silver. This is so thin, by the way, guys, when I'm doing this, because I don't want it to look clunky, that actually that first bit I put across didn't even cover. You could still see the undertone underneath. But that's the right amount. If you're doing it like that, that's just about right. You can always sort of spread it or add a bit more to it, but that's exactly what you want. You don't want it to be so thick you gloop it on and the paint underneath is gone. If you make a mistake, go real light, because the heavier your paint is, the less detail. And these minis are super detailed. You want that detail to come out, because that's cool as shit. Oh, can I swear on YouTube? I don't know. But I just did, so hopefully they won't cancel me. But yeah, so there you go. You've got a bit of that shield going on there. I just need to do the mouth of the shield and the teeth on there as well, but that's a bit more of a smaller, finer thing. So what's Davey saying in chat? I quite enjoy being over in our present campaign and knowing that his Dwarvish wasn't too good. I said he sounds like the police officer on Hello Hello. Yes. Yeah, but I think, didn't you roll for to speak the language as well? I think you rolled like an ability check. I think you rolled a history check to see if you could remember how much Dwarvish your character had known and understood. And then, yeah, you went to speak it thinking you were, chatting the lingo and all the rest of it, and you just sounded absolutely terrible. the dwarf on the other side was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But my other half-lift, Gulron, is at odds with his warlock patron forced upon him. Oh, cool. So doing bad things, especially to bad people, has made him learn a few things about me in real life. Yeah, so that's really cool about D&D. And I lightly touched on that earlier. Having the ability to step into the shoes of something else does help you to learn who you are or what you want, or you think, oh, actually, that's fucking cool that barbarian does that, and he's... Oh, God, I swore again. Crikey. You think, oh, that's really cool that barbarian does X, Y, Z, and he does it like that. That's so brave. I wish I was more like that. And, you could take a flavour of that to then take into real life. And I'm not saying that you run around with an axe and chop people's heads off. Far from that. I'm just saying, it might encourage you to be braver in life. And that's really beneficial. And TTRPGs, so tabletop role-playing games, are super powerful for doing that and helping you discover different things about yourself and learning what you do and don't like. That's why it's awesome when you do your character creation. So that's really, really cool. So I'm going to take a moment here to just pause on the mini just for a moment to take us into our muscle moment. So let's change onto our main camera and let's move that out of my face and move that up there like that. Yes, we're talking about our muscle moment. And I love to do this as just a short part of the stream. So just talking very lightly on fitness because it's another one of my passions. And that's why we're here on Minis and Muscles. And I just wanted to share with you confidence and communication, I think, is probably the key here. So we talked last week about consistency and doing the right things. And that short that I mentioned that I did earlier in the week is all about the 4 key things that you can do. Now, when you go to the gym, how do you know what to do? That's really difficult. So first thing I'd suggest to anybody is there's tons of stuff online that you can download for free that gives you some exercises and routines to do. Now, I actually, and still to this day, by the way, bear in mind, when I left the military regulars, this is in 2015, I sort of transitioned from running and cycling a lot into weights. And I've been doing weights now for 9 years, and I still use some of the same stuff that I downloaded, 7 years ago or so. So you can download these really short workouts, and if you just type in Google or wherever is your favourite search bar, chest exercises, and you go to images, and generally speaking, it will find for you like a grouped section of images, so say like a bench press and X exercise and this exercise and Y exercise, and it will lay it all out for you in picture format. So I use those all the time because they're simple and they're easy. Easy because they're downloadable, they're free. Easy because they're short. Easy because it's a picture and I don't have to read 1,000 words and understand what to do. So that gives me my base. So first of all, you've got your base to go in. Then it's about confidence and stepping into the gym. So take yourself and be consistent and go to the gym. That's one of the hardest things to do. getting your ass up from a nice comfy seat like this in a lovely house to then going off out into the wild to the gym full of meatheads or, you know, freaking TikTokers and all the rest of it, to then go in and take yourself into what could be a vulnerable environment, I guess. Everybody in that gym is just as vulnerable as you. Trust me. They are all the same. They're all doing the same thing. They're all worried about the same stuff, especially them TikTokers. They're even worse. So don't worry, is the first one. Get yourself in there. Take your little card, your little crib card that you've got that lays out those exercises, and I'm happy to share some with people. If you want to drop me a DM or an email, happy to share those. Go in, take a look at these exercises, and put your headphones on into your own world. Escapism, okay? You can see a theme coming out in how I live my life. So put your headphones on, get your music on, look at the app, right? Look at your photos, sorry. It will tell you what exercise to do first. Great, I'm going to go do that. Generally speaking, they even give you the reps and the sets. So how many repetitions you need to do and how many sets of that exercise. And just do it. The Cam, what's he saying here? How many times a week for each body part to see a meaningful gains? Will once a week for each make a difference? Okay, so this answer that in sort of two phases. So how many times a week for each body part to see a meaningful gains? Very difficult, and because it varies from person to person. But you only need to really, I would say, to begin with, this is no pro bodybuilder, but to begin with, if you're hitting one body part per week, that is more than enough. It's how you hit that body part is the important part. So when you go to the gym, you've got your headphones on and you're looking at your little pictures of what to do, it's no good dabbing your brow with a little towel and taking a slurp of your 7-Up or your, you know, Lucozade or whatever it is, or your prime drink or whatever you think's fancy. It's no good just doing that and going for show. You've got to go in there and you've got to, the phrase I use is work till your eyeballs fall out. You've got to work hard. You've got to push yourself. And that's actually quite a difficult thing to do because pain is not nice, right? And when you're doing weights especially, the pain comes quite a lot. And you're like, oh my God, I can't push this out. Like today, I was doing shoulders today, right? And I was doing, what was it? I was doing overhead shoulder press. So seated shoulder press with dumbbells. And I was just pressing up and I did all my warm-up sets all the way through to my maximum working set, and I couldn't do the full 8 reps. I got to 7, and that was it. And I was literally like, oh, shaking all the way up. It was horrific. But going in there and working hard. So how many times a week? So I'm babbling on now, aren't I? How many times a week for each body part? So I'd say once to begin with. Once a week for each body part is more than enough. How I personally train is I actually train body parts only. So I will train triceps one day, biceps one day, legs one day, because it's very difficult to isolate the different groups in terms of quads and hamstrings. So chest, shoulders, back. They're generally what I do. That's not to say that you have to do that. The reason I split out arms into biceps and triceps is because to make your arms look bigger, you need to grow both. And I think sticking to separating the two allows you to have maximum growth in the bicep and the tricep, so your arm looks thicker, which is quite nice. Second part of your question, the Cam, will once a week for each make a difference? Oh yeah, so yeah, that kind of answered that. Once a week will make a difference if you're training hard enough. Just apply yourself, train hard enough. Don't worry about having all the creatine in the world and, you know, doing this and doing that. What I would say is you don't have to have the perfect diet. Creatine's great and you can have that. That will help for sure. If you are consistent in taking it every day, just have your protein shake afterwards. That should be enough just to see you through to begin with. So once a week on your body parts, more than enough as you train hard. Get your protein shake afterwards just to make sure you can recover. Any other questions on the fitness? Who else is on a fitness journey at the moment? Anybody at all? What's everyone's fitness goals? Has anyone got any goals for this year? It's quite nice to set goals. So 2 things that help with keeping yourself active in a gym environment or a training environment as a whole is goals or training buddies. So goals, because you can set them yourself. It's very easy to say, right, Steve, I want to walk 8 miles by the end of the year. Great. Okay, so I'll start off at walking 1 mile, then I'll do two and build it up, and you've got something to work towards. So that's always a good motivator to get you into the gym, because you're always challenging yourself. Like, crap, I haven't walked 4 miles yet, and I need to get to 8 miles. I've only got 2 months left, whatever that is. And the second one is buddies, gym buddies. Again, with the motivation and being consistent, having a gym buddy is really good. So this can be your best friend, it can be your worst enemy almost, or it can be a partner or a loved one, whatever. Getting someone else committed with you then means that you are less likely to let yourself down, but more importantly, you're never going to let down that person. Like if me and let's say the Cam 152, he's talking about the fitness, we were gym buddies and we were going together. Actually, if we were going together, I bet my bottom dollar that you would not let me down, because you would be like, oh, Steve's going to the gym tonight, so I've got to go to the gym. And it'll be the same for me. And that helps with consistency. Consistency is the key. So that's really good, two things to adopt if you can. A goal and a gym buddy. But yeah, what's Strawberry Lime saying? I need to start running. Yeah, running is absolutely awesome. I did it for many years of my life. So that's a super cool thing to do. It just depends. Like, I think I did a lot of running, and I think I just buggered my legs up a bit. So when I do run now, it's 10 times slower than what I used to, probably because I'm heavier, but also just because I end up getting a lot of injuries very, very quickly. Might be my age, being over 40, might be the fact that they've just seen a lot of miles. But running is really good. With running, some tips for you, Strawberry Lime, it would be find yourself a decent pair of trainers. That is absolutely key, because it's going to help you prevent from injury. If you just go and buy yourself a £5 pair of slip-ons from Amazon, you're going to have knackered knees by the end of the month. So I would advise you to buy some good trainers. It doesn't mean you have to spend $1 million, but the best ones that you can afford would be very good. And build it slowly. The key for running and the success that I had in running, I did lots of triathlons and cross country, and I wasn't the best in the world, but I wasn't bad. Like my Ironman, I placed 36th in my age group, so that's pretty good. Not pro, but that was good enough. So be consistent. So I know what I'm talking about here, by the way. So just be consistent in what you're trying to achieve. You set your goal, right? It's 10 miles. Okay. Set this out over a nice time period, so you're not trying to do it all at once, and build up nice and slowly. Get yourself used to going out, running on the concrete or the grass or wherever it is you're doing your training, and get used to just going out and plodding away. Try not to take music with you that blocks out all the noises. Two reasons for that. One, cars, two, people. There are very mean people in this world, so always try and be aware when you're running about. And two, a lot of car drivers are absolute idiots, so just be aware on a safety issue if you're running with headphones in. So just be careful. But yeah, make a start. Great start for that would be, and which is a nice build up, is the Couch to 5K. They're really cool. I think it's an app now actually where you can actually download that and take part in it, and then it will take you all the way along that journey, and it'll actually schedule it out for you, which is even easier. It's like less excuse not to do it. So that's a really cool way to do it. What's Square is saying? I need to get back out on the mountain bike again. Yeah, so mountain biking or cycling, any kind of cycling is really, really good. And running is really good, but cycling is better in my personal belief and experience for two reasons. One, you get weirdly, but you become a better runner if you cycle, because cycling uses more muscles to be actually able to function if you're cycling properly and doing the push and pull properly on the pedals. So it actually makes you stronger. So when you come to running, you don't have to run as much because you're already stronger through the cycling. So I would do lots and lots and lots of cycling and very little running, but my running would still be on key. Again, this is not if you're a professional, because professionals need to dedicate time to each individual aspect. If you're doing it just in a general competitive aspect, then yeah, cycling is really good. Mountain biking, I can't say I did a lot of mountain biking. Did a lot on things like adventure training in the military. That was fairly fun. So mountain biking I did there, but not personally. I did cyclocross. I've still got a cyclocross bike actually. So did some cyclocross. That was pretty cool. Not mountain biking, but the closest really I came in a competitive sense, I guess. How was this saying? Trying, yeah, trying. That's the ultimate thing, right? And that's all you got to do. Try. You're not trying to, compete with me or compete with Dave at work or I can't think of it, Sarah at work or whoever it is. You're only competing against yourself. Don't give yourself a hard time. It's not worth it because you'll become disheartened very quickly. Take some time. Don't panic about it. Set it out over a nice period of time. Look at some goals. Look at a training buddy. Be realistic as well with what you're trying to achieve. Don't think that you're going to, run a Deca Ironman, which is 10 times Ironman, on your first attempt. Go slowly and build it up. But trying is all you need to do, Hells. That's all you need to do is get out and try. And every person that's on this stream right now or views it or whatnot will have the ability to achieve what they want. 100%. I genuinely believe that. It's not because I know you all personally. It's just because, if you put the time in and the effort in, it will come naturally and slowly. So yeah, so hopefully that was a good muscle moment. Any other questions before on the muscle side or the fitness side before we head back into the last little bit of painting? Just wait for any of those to come in and I'll move my light and get us back on track. Okay. Doesn't look like any other questions are coming in, so let's just flip over to our phone cam and let's have a look here. So we've got this little guy here. We've done the axe. We've got this little shield. We've just sort of filled his mouth in quickly. Notice I didn't go completely over the eyes and left the eyes and the nostrils, so you've got that definition. You can see that sort of 3D effect. You've got the blades that are done around the edge and that shield. And then you've got the axe on the top as well, which has been done. So Strawberry Lime, you mentioned earlier that we should look at the cape. So let's have a go with that, shall we? So looking at the cape, I think it was done in a darkish kind of red. So let's see what we've got. Let's just reach over here. Yeah, this is not a nice one. So this colour here is called Word Bearer's Red. Again, Citadel colour. This is a layer, right? So it's not a base coat, but actually it's a fairly thick paint, and because we do have a dark base, it tends to work really well. So this paint I'm going to use for the cape because it gives us a realistic red. I'm always talking about these sort of realistic colours and how things look when they come off the paintbrush and onto the model. Well, this is a nice sort of darkish kind of red, and it looks very, very cool. So I'm going to try and use that. So here we go. Let's just open that up, give it a little mix, get some onto my paintbrush, into the wet palette. If you haven't got a wet palette yet, guys and girls, get yourself a wet palette. They're really cheap. I think this one from the Army Painter was about 10 or 12 quid. It's not a lot of money. From your friendly local game store or from Amazon, equally would be just as good. But if you can support your local place, then do so, just because it's sad when you see things go from the high street. I think I spoke about in my first episode about how I fell in love with tabletop role-playing games at my local comic store. And then, unfortunately, the comic store closed down, and that was I'm still devastated to this. I loved that place. It was very cool. I said to myself, if I ever sort of win millions of pounds on the lottery, or if Minis-N-Muscles becomes a super big thing, I will open a comic store. Yeah, that'd be quite cool actually, because it'd be the Minis-N-Muscles comic store. That'd be awesome. So we're just applying on the back here some very, very light on red. Don't worry if it goes on when it goes on, if it goes on a bit thin. That's not a problem at all. If you can see a little bit of the black underneath, don't panic. Don't think that you have to get a shed ton of paint and blob it on there. Just bear with it. Less is best. Or less is more, however you want to phrase it. So we're just covering the back at the moment, making sure that we do the edges. Again, when you're doing the first sort of colours on these miniatures, you don't have to worry initially about getting everything 100% correct, or if you go over the edge slightly. Only you're ever going to see it, unless you're showing it to the masses like I'm doing now actually. So you guys are seeing it, but don't stress yourself. I think it's a matter of being calm all the time and just enjoying the process. So because your paint's really thin, it dries super fast. So you can almost once you've gone across just as I've gone from one side of here across to the other side, it's dried, and I can now go back and put an extra little thin layer on. So where I just want to beef that up a little bit, I can just add a bit more. And again, wet palette, genius for this, absolute genius. So we're just adding in a little bit more of this sort of nice dark red. It's almost a maroon, reg, if Pete's still on. So yeah, so get that in there. So it's looking nice. Just cover those edges. The second layer on the far side. And then bring that across. There we go. Alrighty. So we've got a kind of just an off. Oh, I'll just lower that a bit. Bring him in a bit without it going out of focus. But it's almost like an off red kind of cape, which I think looks quite nice. I quite like that. So hopefully, Strawberry Lime, we have Minis-N-Muscles have listened to your request. And we've done not just the axe, but we've gone back and done the cape as well. So fingers crossed you're happy with that. Right, almost smashed through an hour 40 of the stream. This is brilliant. It's gone really fast. So now the difficult part comes. I was talking about when you pre-assemble these models like this, you end up finding very hard to reach areas on your Mini. That is this little bit here. So always doing capes. Capes on Minis look cool on the outside, but getting the inside is an absolute pig. So it does become a little bit cheeky just to get in there. He's not I'm not saying he's a regal guy, this, because I could paint the inside like a white kind of colour, but I'm just going for basic looks here. So I'm completing the same colour on the outside as on the inside. So that, what is it, Word Bearers Red. Those are fancy names, these Citadel paints. I assume that 99% of them are in relation to the Warhammer world, as they are the official paints of Warhammer or Games Workshop. There are various other paints as well. Vallejo do a lovely range of paints. I've got some of those, they're nice. But I just find, because I have a game store near me and they sell Citadel, I just think, oh, well, it's just easy to go and get paints for there. And if they were selling Vallejo, I'd buy there as well, to be honest. I don't have a preference. I mean, some people do, but I think the majority of these Citadel paints are quite nice. There are some more special paints that come in different shapes and sizes from different manufacturers. One of the paints actually I bought not so long ago was Turbo Dorks. They do some brilliant paints. I love the name as well, but they do some absolutely insane paints that give you some real effects that you would never be able to replicate on any other paint. I don't give a damn what the other manufacturers say. These Turbo Dork paints, they've got a couple of special colours, like 3D or 4D glasses it's called. Oh my lord, it's amazing. I'll cover that in another one with some sort of special paints overview, but I'll leave you dreaming about them. But the effect they get on those. Woo. I applied it to a friend's miniature that I painted for him not so long ago, and it just looks so cool. I'll tell you, it's iridescent. See, I can't even wait. I can't even hold back. It's like an iridescent type multicolour paint. It's so cool. So what's Bearded Veteran saying? Steve, I'm thinking of doing a live stream panel show one evening a week where people can come onto the stream and do their scale modelling with others. Square is already opted in. Am I interested? Yeah, I'll join. Yeah, sure thing. Absolutely. Not a problem at all. Love to jump on. Absolutely. Yes, count me in, dude. Count me in. That is not a problem. Right, so that's pretty much the cape done, actually, to be fair. That red's gone on fairly nicely. So what is everyone doing tonight? Come on, Friday night plans, apart from watching Minis-N-Muscles, of course, because it's the only thing to do on a Friday at 7 PM. Well, it starts at 7 PM. What is everyone else doing? What are you guys doing? Where are you going? Have you got any plans for the weekend? Come on, give me some good plans. I want to know what you guys in the chat are doing. No, I'm not just a nosy weirdo. It's just interesting to know what everyone gets up to. Sometimes it just gives you a bit of inspiration. You say, oh, someone's doing X, Y, Z. Great. Oh, I should do that. Or, oh, yeah, that reminds me, I need to go and do this. Right. Okay, cool. So very quickly, and you can see this is already touch dry. He's dry already on the cape. So that's very cool. So it's ready for some sort of either dry brushing effects or highlighting effects that we'll do maybe on a dark, maybe in a lighter red, just to give it some cool lines so you can see a bit more. It makes it look a bit more 3D, but we'll cover that at a later point. I just want to get all the sort of base colours done first. Yeah, here we go. Just wash that off. So what is everyone else doing tonight? Come on, tell me, tell me, tell me. Is it lads, lads, lads going out with the lads? Is it girls, girls, girls going out with the girls? Is it a stay in, chill out? Is it board games at home with friends? D&D? Is it retro gaming? You sticking on a bit of Super Mario? Reliving the 80s and 90s? Do love some retro gaming. It's one of my favourite things to do. It's kind of why I mentioned earlier, I chose that Cat Quest game. If you like Zelda, play that Cat Quest. It's about £3, I think, on the Switch. Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant little game. What's Strawberry Lime saying? Playing video games and chillaxing. Oh, what video game are you playing tonight, Strawberry Lime? Is that one you mentioned earlier? What is it? And what console is you playing on? Davey Evans, he's drinking rum. Ooh, Davey, what rum are you drinking? I could imagine you're a rum drinker. Strawberry Lime potentially preparing some Fallout TTRPGs. Oh, sweet Fallout. So that's been a big chat actually in our Tactical Advanced to Game group. We've been talking about Fallout. Looks like very cool. I think one of the guys is looking at possibly playing, starting to play Fallout anyway. But that looks very cool. I'd be interested in playing Fallout. It's a very cool game. Same one I mentioned earlier. So Persona 4 Golden on the PS5. Nice. So I'm going to have to look at this Persona 4, aren't I, to understand what the heck it's all about. No, I'm not telling you off, by the way. I'm just shaking my paints. What else we got here? Bearded Veteran, just working on the Dio. Nothing too exciting. Yeah, so just... No, that's not... But you say nothing too exciting. That is pretty exciting, though, dude. That's cool. Like, working on a massive diorama, that's pretty epic. And the outcome of it will be amazing. So I'm just mixing up some grey right now because I've realised that I'm kind of boxing myself in here. So if we look at this mini, we've done some of the bits on the outside and bits around the edge here. But actually, what's he standing on? A bloody great big stone. So let's get that covered, and let's get that in. So Davey's saying, I'm an all sorts of drinker, Kraken, rum, black cherry and vanilla. Do you know what? I don't drink alcohol, but that does sound actually very nice. Like black cherry and vanilla. I love vanilla stuff. Vanilla and banana. That's my two favourite flavours. Also writing up a one-shot for 40k. Sweet. Wrath and Glory. Nice. Or Wrath, however you want to say it. Yeah, that would be super cool. So you should definitely play that in the tag forum, dude. That would be very, very sweet. Get a few guys playing that. I know if Pete is on still, he would be interested in that. Pete, if you're listening, a bit of 40k TTRPG experience. That'd be very cool indeed. Yes, what am I doing this weekend? Well, gym's done for the night, so that's good. Obviously, streaming to the masses right now. Later tonight, I think... Well, I've got to eat, actually, because I haven't eaten since I've been back from the gym. Bad. I haven't even finished my protein shake. But yeah, I will probably hit the gym tomorrow morning. I need to order some things for a car. Sort that out. Oh, but that's fine. I enjoy that, so that's good. Apart from that, nothing really. A bit boring. Yeah, just a chill out one, I think. Nothing too stressful. Try and avoid stress as best I can. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're almost at the end of the stream, I think. Well, we could go forever, I suppose, but I think I'd probably bore people to death if I stayed here forever talking nonsense. Yeah, hopefully this it's been a good one this evening for you guys. This little model's coming along slowly. For the first session anyway, I was kind of worried about how much I'd actually get painted whilst talking, because it's quite difficult actually painting and talking at the same time. I've never done it. I normally, you know, switch some music on, or I'll have a live streamer in the background and just listen in the background, you know, or a podcast or something like that. But actually painting and talking is a bit of an art, you know. So there's people like what's her name? Rogue Hobbies. So Rogue Hobbies is a lady that used to paint for Warhammer. She used to paint the Warhammer channels. I learnt a lot of stuff from her, actually. She's very cool. She no longer does that, and she's got her own channel now called Rogue Hobbies. Very, very cool. She paints loads of awesome minis. So you should always take a look at her channel. Well, why am I telling you to go elsewhere? No, Minis-N-Muscles is the only place to paint minis. Don't go anywhere else. But no, she's quite cool. Last little bit behind this. So sometimes it's a bit finicky, and you've just got to kind of roll with it when you're trying to go behind items and objects and hope for the best outcome. And that's where it's going to come back to, you know, reapplying a bit of the silver here for that metal finish, or a bit of that bronze for the shield, just because you do go over the edges. Don't worry too much. Don't stress about it. All part of the process. And it will look good at the end. Trust. Trust, trust, trust. Righty. So we're almost there on this rock. Getting it painted fairly quick. There we go. Oh no, there's still quite a lot to do. There's me saying, yeah, I'm doing really good. We are doing good, but it's going to take a little bit longer, I think. That's okay. Chat away to you guys. So we spoke about D&D earlier, and my love and passion for it. Is anyone going to from the 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, and are they going to go and try 1D&D? There's the big question. So for a lot of geeks, it's a sensitive subject, 1D&D. So Wizards of the Coast, who own Dungeons and Dragons, write the rules, of course, and they had a 5th edition rule set, which lots of people loved and still do, and thought it was really, really good, and they didn't really want any change or anything like that. And then Wizards of the Coast announced a huge change with lots of different crazy rules, and what they're going to do, and there was a big uproar about it, and lots of people are upset. That could be a whole podcast, a whole YouTube channel video in itself. But essentially, 1D&D is just a new rule set that not many people are liking by the sounds of it, and there's a lot of people whinging. But is anyone going to try 1D&D, or are they going to stay on old systems? I'll be interested. Strawberry Lime, honestly not sure. Depends on my playgroups. Yeah, it does largely depend on what people want, right? What people are used to, what people are happy with, and it's also cost, right? Because D&D, or mini painting or whatever, it's not expensive, but it's not cheap at the same time. Like this mini, although I was very lucky and some very kind individual gifted it to me, they're not cheap. This mini's, I think it's like £25, 25 quid, and that's not really cheap in the sense of monetary terms, but what you get from it is what I find is worth more than 25 quid, hence why I'm willing to pay that price. But D&D in general, again, lots of rule books, lots of different campaign settings and things to do, and things to buy. So with a whole new rule set, you've then got to change everything and buy new stuff. And I look at my box that's just sat over here next to me, with D&D books in it, and I'm thinking, oh crap, I've got all these books, and what's going to happen to those, and will people still want to play that? And so it's a bit of a worry, because there's a massive amount invested. If no one wants to then play it, it's quite scary. So I'm hoping, Strawberry Lime, that people don't want to go to 1D&D. I think probably a lot of DMs are feeling that way, purely because it's cost saving, especially in this modern world where everything's so expensive. The world's not getting any better, I guess, but hopefully everyone stays on liking the old system. I find the old system very easy to use, but the new system I've heard is, well, I've read that it's a bit more sort of gamified, in the sense of making it a little bit more like a computer game. So I've read. That's what some people are saying anyway. I mean, I've not actually played it, so I can't be too much of a critic, can I? As they say, you can't judge until you try. 1D&D is already being superseded by D&D 6e. There's a couple of that have been going on. Oh, right, okay. So, yeah, there's a guy called D&D Shorts, and he does YouTube short videos. He also does longer ones as well. Very entertaining. A gentleman called Will. Absolutely awesome channel. So if you haven't looked at that, look up D&D Shorts. If you're interested in Dungeons and Dragons, he's very, very cool. Absolutely lovely fella. But he talks about that. He talks about how it's been written, 6e has already been done by other people. And in one of his videos, he actually goes into the company and says, it's this rule book, it's here, this is where you find it, blah, blah, blah. And he's a really informative channel. So if you want like purely D&D stuff and like just guidance and advice, he does loads and loads of cool stuff. And I mean like seriously loads of cool stuff, from pointing you towards the right creation and builds for character creation, all the way through to looking at new rule books and understanding rules, or making things better, etc., etc. He's really, really good. So D&D Shorts, very, very cool. And he's talked about that. I can't remember for the life of me what he spoke about, as in the name of the company that has created a version of 6e. But yeah, it's rather crazy. So I think for me, I'm probably going to stay in the 5e world for a little bit longer. But anyway, I digress, and I witter on, as I always do. It is now 5 minutes to 9, so we've almost been going 2 hours now, ladies and gents. So I'm probably going to call it quits there. Let's have a last look at our model. I'll bring it into the main screen here. So here we go. So we've got the rock underneath. We've got a few of the swords done. We've got his cape. We've got that red shield at the back. So he's coming along nicely. So the stone in the middle he stood on is actually done. So that was a little bit of a pain in the bum piece. But he's done and he's sorted so far. So our journey on creating our very own Grombrindle has started and begun. Next week, when we jump back on the live, we will continue this saga and have a good old chinwag about everything and anything to do with the geek world, the fitness world, Grombrindle, paints, whatever you like. Gaming will be absolutely awesome to see you all again, to chat with you. I appreciate your time. Sending you mucho love. Peace and love to everybody out there. Remember to like, to follow, subscribe, turn on your notifications, comment on stuff, because it all helps on the algorithm and drawing more people in. We can make a lovely little community out of this. I really do believe so. So yes, enjoy your weekend. Happy Friday. Stay safe, everybody. And I will see you all very soon, either on my shorts that I create or on the next live stream. Stay safe. Cheers, everybody.